You are looking at your Fidelity dashboard every single morning, wondering why your net worth is stuck at $45,000, while a sitting United States cabinet secretary just dropped exactly $5 million to buy a soft cross-examination from Congress. Let that absolute madness sink into your brain for a second. Today we are skipping the fake motivational garbage because the real world just gave us a masterclass in how massive capital actually works. We now have the official federal filing and the full transcript of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick testifying about his personal relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. But the absolute wildest part of this story broke over the last 24 hours. This guy made a secret $5 million donation to a massive Republican super PAC called the Congressional Leadership Fund, and he made this exact transaction while he was literally negotiating with the Oversight Committee about what questions they would ask him during his testimony. Think about the absolute audacity of that timing. He completely forgot he has been the Commerce Secretary for 19 months. On the original federal compliance document, his team listed his current employer as Cantor Fitzgerald, and his position as chairman. They literally tried to hide a massive political payout under his private family office structure. Nobody drops $5 million out of pure generosity right before a massive federal investigation. It looks exactly like he was buying a free pass from James Comer and the rest of the Oversight Committee. When I was 22 years old, I was driving a beat-up 2006 silver sedan with a cracked windshield and a broken air conditioner. I was working 80 hours a week and saving every single penny just to maximize my monthly contribution to VU. I used to believe the financial system was this perfectly ethical machine where the hardest workers always win. What a total joke. The ultra-wealthy do not play by the rules you read about in mainstream economics textbooks. They use massive legal structures, shell companies, family offices, and multi-million-dollar liquidity leverage to protect their skin. During the actual congressional hearing, Representative Ro Khanna completely cornered him about a past podcast appearance. Lutnick had previously bragged on a Rupert Murdoch podcast that Epstein was the greatest blackmailer in history and that everything was caught on video, but the exact moment he sat down in that congressional room under the threat of federal law, he flipped his story completely. He literally told the committee he was just raw speculating for a podcast. He went from acting like a total criminal insider on a public video to playing completely dumb under oath. Why? Because under Title 18, United States Code Section 1001, if you lie to a congressional committee, you go straight to federal prison. Even the First Lady Melania Trump publicly called for the full release of the remaining Epstein files. And what did our sitting Commerce Secretary say to the committee? He said he has absolutely no opinion one way or the other and that he will leave it entirely to the administration. He completely backpedaled on his own public words because preserving his massive wealth and political status matters more than any version of the truth. This is the ultimate structural lesson for everyday retail investors who are trapped in constant financial anxiety. Average people waste hours arguing about political theater on television while the top 1% are busy allocating massive capital to buy immunity and protect their billions. If the public actually saw the full unedited video of this embarrassing backpedaling, he would have been completely destroyed. He claimed back in 2005 that he would never see Epstein ever again. Yet he took his entire family and his kids to Epstein Island in the year 2012. The public credibility is dead, but the massive wealth is still moving exactly where it wants to go. Stop emotional investing based on what you see on the evening news. The global financial system is built entirely to protect large pools of capital, which is exactly why you need to build your own financial fortress. When I started generating serious cash flow from my investments, I did not buy a luxury watch or a fancy European sports car to look successful. I lived like a broke college student for 2 extra years in a tiny apartment without a couch. I put every single dollar into broad market index funds and let compounding interest do the heavy lifting. You do not need a $5 million political slush fund to win the wealth game. You just need the discipline to stop consuming stupid retail products and start owning dominant cash-producing assets. The next time the stock market drops 3% and you feel the sudden urge to panic sell your portfolio, remember how the elites handle a crisis. They do not run away from the market. They throw massive capital at the problem until the problem completely disappears. Build your net worth until you have the financial leverage to make your own rules in this economy. Look at the real numbers of how wealth compounding actually works over a 10-year horizon. If you are putting $500 a month into a standard savings account yielding 1%, your money is literally dying from inflation. The banks take your cash and invest it into high-yield instruments while giving you absolute crumbs. But if you allocate that exact same $500 every single month into a low-cost index fund tracking the S&P 500, you are owning the top 500 companies in the world. You are owning Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Nvidia. You are letting the smartest CEOs on the planet work for your net worth while you sleep. Over the last several decades, the historical average return of the market has been around 10% per year. Do the actual math on a 20-year time horizon, and you will see how a regular salary can turn into over $300,000 of pure wealth. The problem is that retail investors have zero patience and a total lack of emotional discipline. They see a negative headline on Twitter or a political scandal in Washington, and they immediately freeze their investments. They keep all their money in cash because they are terrified of a market crash. Meanwhile, inflation is eroding their purchasing power by 4 or 5% every single year. You are losing money safely every single day by doing nothing. The corporate elite like Howard Lutnick understand that cash is trash. They do not hold massive piles of paper money sitting in a checkings account. They hold equity, real estate, corporate bonds, and private business infrastructure. They use their assets as collateral to borrow cheap debt from major financial institutions. Then they take that borrowed money and buy even more cash-producing assets. This is the exact strategy known as buy, borrow, die. It allows the ultra-wealthy to completely legally avoid paying income tax while their net worth grows exponentially. You cannot play that exact game at a multi-billion-dollar scale yet, but you can absolutely use the exact same foundational principles with your current portfolio. Stop focusing on saving pennies on your daily grocery bill and start focusing on increasing your primary income stream. Learn a high-value digital skill, start a side business, or negotiate a massive raise at your corporate job. Then take that extra spread of income and aggressively feed the investment machine every single week. I remember back in 2018 when the market had a massive correction and everyone on the news was screaming that the economy was collapsing. My friends were selling their portfolios at an absolute loss because they could not handle the red numbers on their screens. I did the exact opposite. I cut my personal spending down to the absolute bare minimum. I ate basic rice and beans for 3 months straight and put every single dollar from my paychecks into VO and VUG. That single decision during a period of maximum market fear accelerated my net worth by 3 years. When the market inevitably recovered and hit new all-time highs, my portfolio exploded in value. That is the difference between a wealthy mindset and a poor person panic. The wealthy view market volatility as a massive discount store where everything valuable is suddenly on sale. The poor view market volatility as a personal attack on their security, and they run away right at the bottom. Look at the transcript of these politicians and corporate executives very carefully. They talk about ethics and public service on television to keep the population passive and compliant, but behind closed doors, they are calculating the exact return on investment for a $5 million political donation. They treat politics as a business expense to protect their private enterprise. You need to treat your personal finances with the exact same level of cold calculation. Stop looking at the stock market as a casino where you try to get rich overnight by buying speculative options or garbage meme coins. Treat it as a long-term compounding vehicle where you slowly buy up pieces of the global economy. If you consistently buy asset classes that grow faster than the rate of money printing, you will eventually become completely untouchable. Your financial freedom is the only thing that actually protects you from the chaos of the system. When you have a massive net worth sitting in liquid assets, nobody can force you into a toxic work environment or control your life. You gain the ultimate power, which is the ability to say no to things that do not serve your future. We are living through a massive macroeconomic shift where the middle class is being systematically wiped out by asset inflation. The gap between people who own assets and people who sell their time for wages is widening every single day. You have to decide right now which side of that divide you want to be on for the next 10 years. If you keep doing what everyone else is doing, you will get the exact same mediocre results as everyone else. You will be working until you are 65 years old just to pay off a 30-year mortgage on a house that the bank actually owns. Break out of that trap by automating your investment strategy today. Set up an automatic transfer from your bank account to your brokerage account the exact day you get paid. Do not look at the market price, do not read the financial news, and do not listen to the fake gurus on TikTok telling you to buy real estate with zero money down. Just buy consistent broad market index funds month after month. Let the compounding machine run for a decade and watch your entire life change completely. In the next video, I am going to show you the exact portfolio breakdown and spreadsheet I used to cross my first major wealth milestone before turning 25. Hit that subscribe button right now, drop a comment below with your current investment strategy, and let us build real wealth together.